Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? It's on? On? Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting of the Texas Lottery Commission to order. Today is August the 7th. It is 10 a.m. We have 80% of our commissioners here, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then pledge to the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which is stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag and pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Okay. Good morning again. The first item is a report from the Bingo Advisory Committee race. This is your item.
Morning, Commissioners. Bingo Commissioner Field, Chairman Rivera. I'm pleased to report that your Bingo Advisory Committee has been very busy the past few months. We have been working hard on the rules review, the fiscal year 2024 annual report, the continuation of the BAC, the appointment process of committee members, and the BAC's annual work plan for 2025. The 2023-2024 annual report. 16 TAC 402.102N and the 2023-2024 work plan requires an annual report by the Bingo Advisory Committee to the Commission. This report provides the Commission with information required both by statute and rule and additional information so that it is comprehensive. This report uses data provided by the Charitable Bingo Division. This data may not have been audited. The statute uses the term net proceeds, while the rule uses the term net receipts. For purposes of this report, the terms are synonymous. Gross receipts. Gross receipts increased slightly in the calendar year 2023 to $901.6 million. That is just under a 1% increase over the calendar year 2022, which had a $896.6 million in gross receipts. Gross receipts in 2021 were $938.4 million. Pull-tab sales continue to drive overall sales. However, predatory pricing in urban markets continues to have negative consequences for regular bingo sales and net receipts. Supply chain issues have largely disappeared. Consolidation and belt tightening among suppliers limits the diversity of pull-tab products available to conductors. Adjusted gross receipts, or AGR. The term adjusted gross receipts is defined as the amount pertaining after prizes and fees to the state and local governments that are paid. AGR in 2023 was $202.6 million compared to almost $198 million in the 2022 calendar year. That is a 2.3% increase year over year. AGR in 2021 was $214.2 million. Net proceeds. Overall, net proceeds to charities, which is the total amount of money retained by a charity conductor of bingo after payment of all expenses, saw a slight increase in 2023. At almost $30.7 million, that's more than 4% higher than 2022 net proceeds of $28.8 million. Net proceeds were almost 15.2% of adjusted gross receipts in 2023 compared to 14.5% in 2022. Reported charitable distributions. The Bingo Enabling Act requires charity conductors to distribute, for charitable purposes, all net proceeds that exceed the maximum capital reserve allowed by the Act. Some organizations choose to maintain capital reserves lower than allowed and distribute net proceeds beyond what they may be statutorily required. Maintaining a capital reserve is fundamental to a business. This explains the difference in net proceeds for charitable distributions to the charities. Charitable distributions for 2023 were $28.3 million compared to $29.7 million in 2022. Expenses. For the purposes of this report, expenses here are calculated by subtracting net proceeds from AGR. In 2023, aggregate expenses increased modestly in 2022 to $171.9 million compared to $169.2 million in 2022. That is a 1.6% increase year over year. Attendance. At 10.08 million, attendance continued its slide down, but only slightly. Attendance in calendar year 2022 was 10.1 million. This ongoing decline remains worrisome. Since 2007, attendance has plummeted 44% when it peaked at $17.9 million. This continues to be the largest threat to charitable bingo and the approximately 1,000 nonprofits that generate revenue for their community work. We hope that legislative changes, new prize structure, and more temporary sessions will yield results in 2024 to further slow the decline in attendance. As noted in the past, market research indicates that a general lack of awareness poses a significant challenge for charitable bingo. Bingo is not the top choice compared to other entertainment options. Private sector digital advertising conducted pre-COVID and post-COVID has shown promising returns on investment. Nevertheless, charitable bingo should consider a public-private partnership to generate the resources required for scaling promotional efforts in a large state like Texas. Providing feedback. The BAC has successfully provided feedback and comments to the CBOD staff and commissioners on all administrative rules and amendments. It actively engages in the current rules review and the Texas Sunset Advisory Commission's review of the TLC and CBOD. Website review. The BAC is still currently reviewing and collecting data to report its recommendations to the staff and commissioners. Reporting. The BAC successfully reported to the Commission updates on the BAC's activities, industry accomplishments, challenges, and concerns. Annual report. The BAC has submitted the required annual report to the Commission and to the CBOD Director. Concluding comment. By the numbers, charitable bingo had a solid year in 2023. Net proceeds had a bounce back. Attendance showed only a modest decrease, and aggregate expenses were essentially flat for 2023. Our view is that the tools provided by the Texas legislature had a positive impact, but we will better assess the impact in 2025 after more than a full year of implementation. Regardless, there's little doubt about what new tools and some form of awareness campaign. The future of charitable bingo as a resource, as a source of revenue for roughly 1,000 nonprofits across the state is threatened. The Bingo Advisory Committee remains committed to working with the commissioners and the CBOD staff to advise and respond to the issues that arise this year and those to come. We particularly want to thank the Lottery and Bingo Division staff for their collaborative working relationship. While we do not nor expect to always agree, searching for common ground and consensus, which they regularly do, is very much appreciated. We also appreciate the time and attention that Commissioner Fields provides as designated charitable bingo commissioner and the responsiveness of the chairman and all commissioners when called upon. Thank you. We respectfully request that the commissioners vote to reinstate the BAC for a one-year period.
Okay, Trace, thank you sincerely for your years of effort, work, and obviously your very detailed, updated information. So on behalf of all of our commissioners, we're grateful. So thank you. Commissioners, before calling for discussion, I want to ask Commissioner Fields, as the designated bingo commissioner, if she has any comments that she'd like to discuss.
Chairman, I think Trace has some more.
Okay.
I think he's going to make a recommendation, a couple of recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and then I'll follow it.
Okay.
Okay. My apologies. I thought, Trace, you had concluded.
Normally I would be finished, but today
Okay.
there's a lot of year-end reports got to get through.
Keep rolling.
All right, 3 more items and we'll be done. The next item in my report is the BAC nominations. The BAC is pleased to report that we have received and reviewed all of the nomination forms from the staff. While the BAC agrees that all of the potential nominees are well qualified, the BAC makes the following recommendations to appoint the following members to the BAC. Trey Smith, conductor; Melody Green, commercial lessor; Floyd Olive, manufacturer; Tommy Duncan, distributor; Jason Pohl, conductor; Veronica Uriegas, charity lessor; Dr. Demetric Trey Penny as a public member; Cheryl Wilson as a public member; and Audrey Walter as a conductor lessor. Those are our recommendations for the next BAC. Number three, or the next item, is the 2025 annual work plan. Number one, identify potential rule or procedural changes that may help organizations address challenges related to conducting charitable bingo. Any potential recommendation on changes to how bingo games are played shall be clearly authorized by Texas law, but may also include research, consideration, and discussion of issues not authorized by Texas law. Number two, continue to make recommendations and assist in the 2024 charitable bingo rules review and make a final recommendation to the Texas Lottery Commission regarding adoption. Number three, review ways that other states and jurisdictions assist charities, including by promoting awareness among consumers. Number four, monitor legislative activity that may impact charitable bingo, especially issues related to recommendations and proposals by the Sunset Advisory Commission and staff. Number five, provide support as needed to secure legislative approval of any proposed CBOD requested changes to the Bingo Enabling Act. Number six, provide feedback and comments to CBOD staff and commissioners on changes to administrative rules in Chapter 402 and any other new additional amendments. Number seven, work with CBOD staff to identify ways to increase filing of quarterly reports using the online filing system. Number eight, review components of the agency's charitable bingo website, including the listing of BAC members and recommended elements and information to be included in future website updates. Number nine, provide reports at each commission meeting that include status updates of the BAC's activities, industry accomplishments, challenges, or concern. Number 10, develop the required BAC annual report to the commission on the state of the charitable bingo industry and submit to the commission and to the charitable bingo director by July 15th, 2025. That is our fiscal year 2025 work plan. And finally, the rules review. The BAC voted yesterday to follow staff recommendations to proceed in the rule review process. That concludes my report.
Okay, Trace, again, thank you for your dedication and hard work, and definitely it shows up. So we're grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, with that, I'll ask Commissioner Fields for comments.
Thank you. I want to thank the current members of the BAC for their service and Trey Smith for your leadership as the chair.
Thank you.
The BAC has made good progress this year and has submitted recommendations for committee members and a work plan for fiscal 2025. All the commissioners received nomination forms and any resumes and letters of recommendation submitted for the applicants. Several commissioners interviewed individual applicants, and there has been a high level of commissioner engagement in this process. I sincerely want to thank LaDonna, who has been extremely helpful to receive input from the individual commissioners and develop a proposed roster of members for the next year, as well as to provide suggestions on the work plan. Also, thank you to Marie Medina, who was critical in scheduling interviews with all of the applicants. And we also appreciate all the people that applied for the positions. I would like to ask LaDonna to briefly explain the process for developing the list of proposed members for the next BAC.
Thank you, Commissioner Fields. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm LaDonna Castanuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations Division. The BAC nomination period was a little more than 3 weeks, from May 6th to May 28th. In addition to an email blast that went out to all individuals listed in the division's licensing database, I sent an email request to all lessors asking them to post the nominee solicitation in the bingo halls. And I conducted additional outreach to Texas Municipal League, the Texas Association of Counties, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, and the Texas Catholic Conference of Bishops, in hopes of attracting nominees to represent the public. We received 14 nomination forms, including at least one for each of the 6 required interest groups. I sent all 14 nominations separately to each commissioner for consideration. The commissioners had several weeks to conduct interviews if they wished to do so. In the last few days, I collected each commissioner's list for membership for the FY25 BAC. These are the 9 nominees who were identified by a majority of individual commissioners. Melody Green to represent commercial lessors, Floyd Olive to represent licensed manufacturers, Jason Pohl to represent conductors that are not commercial lessors, Veronica Uriegas, conductors that are commercial lessors, Audrey Walter, conductors who are not commercial lessors, Tommy Duncan to represent licensed distributors, William Trey Smith, conductors that are not lessors, Dr. Demetric Trey Penny to represent the public, and Victor Kirkendall to represent the public. That's all I have about the process, but I'm available to answer questions.
Okay, I have a motion. That's it.
Before you do that, I want to say that I, Cindy, appreciate your comments and want to add that believe that the BAC is a valuable tool for the commission in our regulation of charitable bingo. We appreciate the direct communication that we have with the industry and that the BAC provides. Concerning the work plan, the commission continues to instruct the BAC not to work on any recommendations or other matters that would expand gaming in Texas or go beyond the clear direction and authority this agency has received from the legislature. So with that, is there any public comment to this item? Okay, no? Okay, so Cindy, go ahead.
My motion includes a couple of modifications to the BAC recommendations. I move that the commission approve continuing the BAC for fiscal year 2025 with the following members as LaDonna just mentioned. Melody Green, commercial lessor, Floyd Olive, licensed manufacturer, Jason Pohl, charity bingo conductor, Veronica Uriegas, charity lessor, Audrey Walter, charity bingo conductor, Tommy Duncan, licensed distributor, William Trey Smith, charity bingo conductor, Demetric Trey Penny, public member, and Victor Kirkendall, public member. And approve the work plan for fiscal year 2025, including the following items. Identify potential rule or procedural changes that may help organizations address challenges related to conducting charitable bingo. Any potential recommendations on changes to how bingo games are played shall be clearly authorized by Texas law. Monitor legislative activity that may impact charitable bingo, including issues related to recommendations and proposals by the Sunset Advisory Commission. Provide feedback and comments to CBOD staff and commissioners on changes to administrative rules in Chapter 402 and additional amendments, including making recommendations in the 2024 Charitable Bingo Rules Review, a final recommendation to the Texas Lottery Commission regarding adoption, and whether any bingo advisory opinions should be incorporated into the rules. Work with CBOD staff to identify ways to increase online filing of quarterly reports and payments using the bingo service portal. Review components of the agency's charitable bingo website and the VSP and provide recommendations for improvements. Provide reports at each commission meeting that include status updates of the BAC's activities, industry accomplishments, challenges, or concerns. Develop the required BAC annual report to the commission on the state of charitable bingo industry and submit to the commission and to the charitable bingo director by July 15th of 2025.
Okay. Commissioners, any other discussion on this item? Is there a second for Commissioner Fields' motion?
A second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Chairman, if it's all right, I would like to make just a couple remarks now.
Please.
All right. So first, I just want to commend LaDonna and Commissioner Fields for all the hard work that went into this. You know, I know that this is the first time that we've had a detailed process like this, and it's a heavy lift, and it's never going to be perfect, but I think it's worked well. I'm very comfortable with the next BAC composition that we have for the next year. You know, rightly or wrongly, the Sunset Staff Report said that the commission simply rubber stamps recommendations for BAC membership. That's clearly not the case here. We're going to have 3 new members of the public, which we haven't had in a number of years. So I think it's important to note, not patting ourselves on the back, but that in fact, we don't do just rubber stamp items that come to us from the BAC or elsewhere. I also just like to commend Mr. Duncan. He received a very strong recommendation from Senator Alvarado. I think that speaks volumes about his leadership, his value to the commission, to the committee. And I've also just heard his praises be sung by LaDonna and by staff. So I just am excited to be working with the BAC again the next year. It's obviously a crucial year for the bingo industry, for the BAC, and for the charitable bingo division. So that's all I got.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Trace.
Thank you very much.
Next item is the Mega Millions rule proposal. Deanne and Will, your item.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I am Deanne Rinstra, Special Counsel. The Mega Millions lotteries have decided to change the Mega Millions draw game. Whenever they do this, the Texas Lottery Commission is required to change the Mega Millions draw game rule to implement whatever changes are adopted by the Mega Million lotteries. You have received a draft rule proposal to repeal the current TLC Mega Millions rule at 16 TAC Section 401.315 and a proposal for a new Mega Millions rule to become effective at the start of the new game, which is expected to be April 5th, 2025. I'd like to also point out that we did receive a correction to the chart on page 15 of the rule proposal regarding the 2x multiplier, which will have odds of 2.13, not 2.10, and will be in the version published as if that is what you all decide to do. Will Russ, Products Manager, is here to present to you the changes that will be implemented in the new Mega Millions draw game.
Thank you, Deanne. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Will Russ, the Products Manager, and as Deanne mentioned, I'll be reporting on the details of the upcoming Mega Millions game change. So Philip, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. On this slide, you'll see a brief timeline of events relating to the change. We learned about the change earlier this calendar year, and in June, Ryan attended a muscle directors meeting where the rule was adopted. Sales for the new version of the game are expected to begin on April 5th, 2025, with the first drawing using the new matrix on April 8th, 2025. This is the date that the Mega Millions Consortium has provided with the rules for the new game. If the consortium's date changes, our launch date will change as well, but we do not expect that at this point. As a reminder, if Texas does not adopt the rules for the new game, we cannot sell it and would therefore lose out on significant revenue. Separately, while this is still approximately 8 months away, we are beginning the rule adoption process now because the agency and IGT have a lot of work to prepare for the change and launch on time. Next slide, Philip. Here, we see significant changes the game is undergoing. The price per play is increasing from $2 to $5. This jump is significant, but there are benefits for our players. The first one of those benefits is a starting jackpot of $50 million. This starting point will provide more excitement during the early stages of a jackpot run. Secondly, a multiplier is included with every play. On the current game, players pay an extra $1 for Megaplier, which can increase their non-jackpot prizes by 2, 3, 4, or 5 times. Currently, players also have the option to play for only the jackpot with the aptly named Just the Jackpot feature. Neither Megaplier nor Just the Jackpot will be continued. The new game will include a multiplier with every play, which I will explain more in a couple slides. Finally, the game is changing to a 5 of 70 plus 1 of 24 matrix. As you can see, this will yield better overall and jackpot odds for our players, which we're very excited about. Next slide, Philip. On this slide, we see the 9 tiers for the new game and their associated odds and prizes. Like the current game, the one that will launch in April will also have 9 tiers. The way to win each tier is the same as the current game. For example, to win tier 6, a player matches 3 balls of 70 and does not match the Mega Ball. Even the prizes for the new game are like the current one, with the exceptions being tier 8 and tier 9, which have increased to $5 and $7 respectively. This is due to the new $5 price point. Next slide. Another feature of the new game we're excited to tell our players about is that a multiplier is included with every play. Players will not have to pay an extra $1 for a chance to multiply their non-jackpot prizes like they do on the current game. Additionally, the new game features a 10x multiplier. This will be new to the Mega Millions game. Powerball, our other multi-jurisdictional jackpot game, offers players the option to purchase the Power Play add-on, which can increase non-jackpot prizes by 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 times. The 10x multiplier, however, is not available on Powerball jackpots that are $150 million or higher. The new 10x multiplier on the upcoming Mega Millions game does not have this jackpot limitation. So, if a player wins a non-jackpot prize in the new version of the Mega Millions game, the prize will be automatically multiplied by the multiplier for that play. Here's an example. The $5 prize I showed you on the last slide will increase to a minimum of $10 or a maximum of $50 based on the multiplier included with the play. Next slide. Here we have a timeline with some important dates. In a few weeks, on August 23rd, the rule will be published in the Texas Register, and we will provide a link on the Texas Lottery homepage so the public has the opportunity to comment on the game change. At our next meeting, the rule will be presented to the Commission for adoption. Next slide, Philip. In conclusion, this presentation today is the first step in a long process to prepare for the game change. If the rule is adopted in October, our lottery gaming system, website, mobile app, retailer training documents, and many other materials will need to be updated to reflect the specifics of the new game. In the coming months, we will also begin player and retailer outreach, and will use every available resource to educate both groups on the new game. We expect a new game and our efforts to yield positive sales results. I'm looking forward to keeping the Commission updated on all aspects of this. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Deanne.
Commissioners, this is an action item. Staff recommends the Commission initiate the rulemaking process by publishing the proposed repeal and new rule in the Texas Register in order to receive public comment for a period of 30 days. We are happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Commissioners, any discussion?
I just have one question. This is a significant rule change. I look forward to you guys moving forward with it. tip my hand, I plan on voting to publish. Any thought given to holding a public hearing at some point during the public comment period? Seems significant enough of a change that could be warranted. Don't have to answer that right now, but something to think about.
Yeah, I'd prefer to get back to you if we could. I'll talk to everyone around internally. We'll get back to you.
Any other discussion?
Well, I understand the kind of the earliness of this. Do you feel like you've got enough time to work with IGT and get this implemented should this rule change go through?
Yes, sir. That's why we're doing this so early. So we do have enough time, and we believe 8 months will be enough time. And we have never missed a launch. So we also have that in our, our background, but I think we're good.
Okay. Dan, just to confirm, the commission's only choices are either to amend the Mega Million changes and continue to offer the game or stop offering the game.
Correct.
Okay.
You're all correct.
Any other discussion? Okay. Is there a motion to publish the rule proposal?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is a report on our Austin warehouse lease. Angela, you're right.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Angela Skyby Sagarba, Director of Administration. Item 4 in your notebooks is a briefing item to advise the Commission of staff's intent to extend the Austin warehouse lease for an additional 5-year term. The warehouse provides storage for receiving and distributing supplies, equipment, furniture, and promotional merchandise to the TLC headquarters and various offices across the state. In addition, the warehouse serves as a backup space, including our drawing studio. Commissioners have independently confirmed that they have no financial interest in the vendor. If you have any questions, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Commissioners, any discussion? No? Good job. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm also number 5. Do you want me to move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, the item 5 in your notebooks is also a briefing item. This is an interim status update to let you know that the Lottery Operations and Services RFP is continuing to progress as planned. Included in your notebook is the timeline of events for the RFP, and as you can see, we are currently in the first round of questions and answers. If there are any changes to the timeline, an amendment will be posted on the Electronic State Business Daily and the Texas Lottery websites with vendors notified. If you have any questions or comments, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to address them.
Okay. Angela, thank you. Commissioners, any discussion? Okay. Angela, thank you very much. Next item is the comprehensive business plan and annual report. Robert, your item.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Robert Terloni. I'm the Lottery Operations Director. Item 6 today is the agency's 2023 annual report and the fiscal 24-25 comprehensive business plan. You have a copy in your notebooks, and we sent you this documents a few weeks back. In addition, Ryan Nelda Trevino, Bob Beard, and I met with the planning subcommittee, Commissioner Franz and Commissioner Steen, on July 16th to discuss the report and business plan, get their feedback, and to discuss next year's version of this report. The annual report contains a summary of our achievements during FY23 and the comprehensive business plan, which conforms to the statutory requirements of the last sunset legislation in 2013, talks about what we worked on during this current fiscal year, and looks ahead to what is planned for fiscal 25. The comprehensive business plan contains key performance factors as well as targets and projections for those factors. We believe this document is really the single best source of information about all lottery-related activities. It highlights both our successes and our challenges, and it provides a very thorough overview of our major programs, such as responsible gambling, retailer cash incentives, retailer distribution channels, lottery game promotion, and last but not least, our entire product portfolio. I know that I refer to it and use it regularly throughout the year. Producing this report and business plan is a team effort and involves participation from many divisions throughout the entire agency. So thanks to everyone that contributed. I'd also like to extend special thanks to 3 people on my team, Angie Bland, Amy Barzelas, and Mary Mendoza. They keep the entire drafting, editing, review, and approval process for this project on track and well organized. And last but not least, special thanks to our in-house graphics team for the great job they do to lay this report out and make it look great. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have. And just a reminder, Mr. Chairman, this item does require commission approval.
Okay, Robert, thank you. Begin with any comments from the planning subcommittee. We have one member of the subcommittee here.
Yeah, as Robert mentioned, Commissioner Steen and I, who make up the planning subcommittee, met with Robert and his staff to review this and to work through some things. And I will commend both the presentation of it and the content as well. It looks very good, and the planning subcommittee wholeheartedly recommends approval on this. I'll make one note. The Sunset Commission noted in their report that this report doesn't change that much year to year. Well, it's largely because our operations don't change much. We have a set of games and products that we offer that doesn't change that much year to year. When they do, it's reflected in this report, but we've developed a very good and attractive and easily digested report in this format. And so we support the continuation of that because it's effective at what it's intended to do. For instance, the only thing we've done since I've been here is a $100 scratch ticket and the in-lane service. So, and those are reflected appropriately each time we make those changes. So we've got a good report, and notwithstanding Sunset Commission's desire to see something different every year, it's just not feasible and not wise to do. So subcommittee recommends approval.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Is there a second? Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Okay, motion passes. Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, and also thank you to the planning subcommittee as well. Next item is report on lottery sales and revenue. Sergio and Will, you're at it.
Good morning. For the record, Secretary Lay Controller for the Texas Lottery. Will Russ, Products Manager, and I will provide the following briefing on sales through the week ending July 27th, 2024. At the 48-week mark of fiscal year 2024, total sales have reached $7.63 billion. This is an overall 4.1% decrease from last year, with a delta from last year's total now at $325 million. As you can see on the chart, the draw sales year to date are almost $1.6 billion. This is under the sales this time last year at approximately $194 million less, or down about 10.9%. This time last year, the Powerball had a jackpot of $1 billion in mid-July, and we were in the middle of a large Mega Millions jackpot that eventually hit $1.58 billion. Scratch sales remain lower from last year by approximately $131 million, and this gap is 2.12%. Although the numbers reflect otherwise, fiscal year 2024 total sales will still reflect a very successful year. Will Russ will now provide the perspective from scratch and draw games.
Good morning again, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Will Russ, the Products Manager, and will be giving a more detailed view of the sales that Sergio just reported on. If we look at this slide at the bottom right corner, you can see the year-over-year decline of about $324.7 million, or 4.08%. The main contributors to this decline are the national draw games Mega Millions and Powerball, the in-state jackpot game Lotto Texas, and then also our scratch ticket sales. At our last meeting, the Mega Millions deficit was about 50 million, which included the add-on features. Last summer, during this corresponding period, the game had one of its best runs when it hit 1.58 billion on August 8th, 2023. The deficit is now approximately 101.6 million. The current jackpot, however, is at a decent 398 million, and with some luck, it will roll and will start FY25 with some strong sales. Powerball is down as well, but only about 43 million. As Sergio mentioned, this game also had a strong run last summer when it hit 1 billion on July 19th. The deficit since our last meeting for the in-state draw game Lotto Texas has remained steady at about 57 million. Our other in-state jackpot game, Texas Two-Step, is slightly up. We were pleased to see this game hit a $1.2 million jackpot on July 18th. This helped yield positive sales results. In the middle of the slide in blue are the daily games, and there's good news to report here. Pick 3 has remained relatively flat. There's a possibility that this game will be positive year over year, which would be great because we have not seen that in quite some time. Daily 4, Cash 5, and All or Nothing are all slightly up. In conclusion, for the draw games portion of the portfolio, sales are currently down about 194 million, or approximately 10.9%. You can see that number in orange towards the bottom of the slide. We knew last summer's jackpots on the multi-jurisdictional games Powerball and Mega Millions would create tough comps for us this year, and we're seeing the results here. As Sergio mentioned, scratch sales are down about 130 million, or 2.12%. Percentage-wise, this is comparable to the amount we've been down all year. On Monday, we launched a second $10 Lotteria-style game. This game, titled Limited Edition Mega Lotteria, is not a replacement game, but launched in addition to the $10 Lotteria-style game already in market. After analyzing sales data, we believe this second game will yield incremental sales, and I'll report on that at our next meeting. With that, I'll wrap up. Sergio and I are available for any questions.
Okay, thank you all. Commissioners, any discussion?
Just one question, Will, that you adequately, and we've known all along, even when we were hitting those big jackpots on the multi-state ones, that was going to be tough headwinds. Is it the same case for Lotto Texas, that
Yep.
number, that 53? What are those comparable jackpot differentials year over year?
So the deficit is the same as the last meeting, and at the last meeting, we had already gone through what happened last year in April when it hit, I think, 98 million or 93 million. So the sales this period are expected. We knew this would happen.
What's been our highest jackpot this year?
I think it was 29 million.
Yeah.
So much lower than
Yeah.
than what it hit last.
Magnitude of what drives that. And
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, any other comments, questions? Okay. Will, thank you very much. Sergio, you didn't speak enough on item 7, so on item 8, we're going to let you report on the transfers to the state.
In this agenda item, I will provide a high-level summary of the accrued revenues and transfers through June 30th, 2024. This is item number 8. Our accrued revenue transfers to the state total $1.64 billion at the 10-month mark of fiscal year 2024. The Foundation School Fund has received $1.55 billion. The Texas Veterans Commission received up to close to $20 million, and just over $66 million are transfers from unclaimed prizes. In total, the Texas Lottery has transferred $33.4 billion to the state for education and $244 million for Texas veterans. As a second part of this item, is a budget summary of fiscal year 2024 through May 31st. This detailed information is in your notebook. As we close out the third quarter of the fiscal year, our financial activities remain consistent from prior years. The lottery account budget has expenditures and commitments totaling $320.7 million, which is 89% of our budget thus far. And bingo operations budget has $2.2 million in expenditures and commitments, representing 92.7% of its budget. Our fiscal year will end shortly on August 31st. We have begun our processes for the annual financial report along with our external auditors, Weaver and Tidwell, who will be providing an independent audit report on our financials, which is due in December 15th. This concludes this presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any discussion? Okay.
Chairman, pardon the interruption. And before Sergio starts his next item, we need to take a brief 2-minute break. There is an issue with the live stream, and we just need a couple minutes to get the link corrected and that updated.
Okay, so we will pause for 2 minutes. Pause for 2 minutes and be right back to 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone, I think we are prepared to move forward. We have our items with technology back in order, but we'll hand it over to our esteemed leader, Ryan.
Thanks, Chairman. Yes, there was an issue with the live stream link. We do believe that has been corrected, and so the public should be able to access the meeting. The YouTube video and recording of this meeting will not be harmed in any way, and so that will be posted, and so anyone will be able to go and see the full recording of the meeting after the fact. And again, now we believe that the live stream available to the public has been fixed. So
okay,
I'll hand it back to you.
We appreciate the transparency and all of the updated information. So Sergio, you still here?
Yes.
Okay.
And now after that commercial break, commissioners, on item number 9 is the legislative appropriations request. On July 25th, the agency received the policy letters from the offices of the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker of the House, as well as the instructions for the completion of the legislative appropriation request for fiscal years 2026 and 2027. Thus, the beginning of the agency's proposals for budget in the next biennium. This process began in February when we received instructions for our budget structures and strategic plan, as well as the preparation for our appropriation-based reconciliation. So, to recap from our last meeting's presentation, the LAR includes an administrator statement, schedules based on the approved 2026-2027 baseline appropriation limits, the exceptional item requests that are beyond our baseline amounts, and requests for rider authority revisions and capital expenditure authority. There's a listing on the next slide of these items. Our rider requests and exceptional items, you will notice, reflect goals set in the agency's strategic plan and through the sunset review process. For this presentation, I will focus on the main schedules in the LAR. This information was provided electronically earlier to you this week and discussed with the members of the planning subcommittee last week. At the same time the agency received the LAR instructions, we received the approved baseline appropriation limits. The baseline is the biennial amount of $673,081,674 as reflected on our next slide. This base is the amount we have allocated to years 2026 and 2027 across the multiple strategies, method of finance, and budget category schedules in the LAR. This base exceeds the amounts we were appropriated in 2024-25 by $11.6 million. This base is calculated by adding the estimated expenditures and commitments for fiscal year 24, plus the budgeted amounts for fiscal year 2025. The additional amounts compared to the 24-25 are results of 1.2 million salary adjustments for supporting salaries from the 24-25 increases by the 88th legislature, and the remainder are from the net adjustments resulting from rider appropriations authorized in our current bill pattern. This baseline maintains our existing full-time equivalent, or FTE, position count at 321.5 per year. And in our rider revision request, the agency reviewed the existing 16 riders in our bill pattern. The majority of our riders required minimal to no change. These minor changes are primarily date changes from 24-25 to 2020 to 26-27. I would like to highlight 3 key revisions. The first one, the lottery operator contract rider, which provides direction on calculating the appropriation amount authorized for the spend. It's a combination of the controller biennial review sales amount multiplied by the billing percentage rate in lottery operator contract. In FY26 is the final year which we can properly update, as the contract is still in effect. The current contract is still in effect, but FY27 is the first year of the new contract. So we will be in continued communications with the LBB between now and the execution of the new contract, expected to be executed in fiscal year 25, to finalize what the billing percentage rate will be. The next rider is the agency is requesting the removal of Rider 16, lottery sales by phone. Last session, a bill proposing similar language was attempted through the normal bill process, but it did not pass. The rider was included in our bill pattern, but during governor's signature process, it was noted as objectionable and unconstitutional. Therefore, as an agency, no actions were taken related to this directive rider. In addition to the removal of this rider, we are requesting that the legislature provide direction on whether courier services should be prohibited, regulated, or allowed without regulation. If the direction is for the commission to prohibit or regulate courier services, the commission recommends the legislature provide express statutory authority to the commission as appropriate in a duly enacted bill. Our last rider is for authority for any remaining general revenue funds in fiscal year 26 be appropriated for the same purposes in fiscal year 27. This will give bingo operations flexibility to fund unexpected or ongoing activities as appropriate across the biennium. Next slide is there are 3 exceptional items that are requested in our LAR. These exceptional items are requests for additional funding, additional FTEs, or both that are not already included in the base limitations. The first item is the technology infrastructure updates for Bingo Operating Service System, BOSS, and Bingo Services Portal, BSP. As noted in the strategic plan and in our sunset review, the BOSS and BSP online applications have reached end of life. These were last refreshed in 2015 and now need to be transferred to a new platform. The sunset review also identified other updates that can be incorporated in this upgrade. This biennial request of almost $1.6 million includes the cost of 2 contractors needed for programming, as well as 1 FTE position for programming and for the continued maintenance and support upon deployment. This request is from general revenue funds and the lottery account. Item number 2 is a request for additional general revenue funds for the recruitment and retention of bingo staff. As you're aware, the turnover in our charitable bingo division continues to be high, and job vacancies still require multiple postings to find and secure a qualified candidate. Even after many successful efforts by our bingo director, salaries remain a challenge. So this request for an additional $429,050 or $241,525 per year is a request to make headway in this effort to address recruitment and retention for this division. Item number 3 is the agency is now on schedule to deploy the financial modules for the new state financial system of record, which is a centralized accounting and payroll personnel system, CAPS. The agency has already implemented CAPS HR modules back in 2020 and had a first attempt at deploying CAPS financials in 2021. Issues in the first deployment, some of which were interfaces and reporting, prompted a reschedule for the 26-27 implementation. Looking at the comptroller's schedule, we might just be the last agency pending deployment of CAPS Financial. To ensure the successful deployment this go around, and during the time during this time, back offices of the controller, administration, IT are also being impacted by other major projects. The agency is requesting funding for additional FTEs to assist with backfill while participating in employment efforts. And as we get closer to go live on September 1, 2026, the additional FTEs will also be the testing, training, and crossover team. The agency will assume other responsibilities with this deployment, specifically ongoing interface maintenance, reporting development, security access, and help desk activities. These are critical areas that will have impact to our current staff. So the biennial total for this exceptional items is $3.8 million and 9 FTEs. Now, this final schedule I will go over is the capital project schedule. This is a request for capital project authority for existing ongoing funding projects or exceptional items funding requests. Data center services and CAPS deployments are considered capital projects regardless of their amount. Again, this authority request goes hand in hand with prior requests and is not for additional funds. So this is a summary of our 26-27 funding request. And looking forward, the LAR is due to oversight agencies as well as the governor's office and legislature. We will soon begin hearings with representatives from the LBB and the governor's office, with the next steps followed by budget recommendation sessions, hearings, and finally the new General Appropriations Act. But first, this agency requests your approval to proceed with the narrative of the LAR as presented. This concludes my briefing, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, Sergio, thank you. So again, this is a living, breathing item, and the final is going to be at the end of the 30th of August, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments from the planning subcommittee?
Yeah, Sergio mentioned Commissioner Steen and I, as a planning subcommittee, met with Sergio and staff and worked on the details of these LARs, in particular the exceptional items and the rider requests. And it is we spent a fair bit of time on these, and so we now are comfortable that this is where we ought to be and where the request should be. Like you said, there may be a few tweaks to it just as the budget wraps up. But there will be no substantive changes on this. So the planning subcommittee recommends approval of this LAR.
Okay, commissioners, any other comments? So that is a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, Clark, thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Sergio, unless you would like to do the sunset review for Nelda, you're free to go.
I will defer.
All righty, Sergio, thank you.
Thank you.
Ready, Nelda.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Nelda Trevino, the Director of Governmental Affairs. I'll be providing a brief update regarding the agency's review by the Sunset Advisory Commission. As you are aware, the Sunset Advisory Commission rescheduled its July meeting, and it is now scheduled for next week on August the 14th at 9 a.m. Included on their meeting agenda is the presentation and public testimony regarding the Sunset staff report on the Lottery Commission. At the August 14th hearing, Sunset staff will present its report and recommendations. The agency will present its response, and the Sunset Commission will hear public testimony and receive written comments. While a date has not yet been announced, a subsequent hearing will be scheduled, and the Sunset Commission will then consider and vote on their recommendations. Following the hearing, the Sunset Commission's decision report on the Lottery Commission will be issued. The recommendations adopted by the Sunset Advisory Commission will then lead to a sunset bill being drafted and filed for the legislature to consider during their upcoming legislative session that will convene in January of 2025. This concludes my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Commissioner discussion? None? All righty, Nelda, good job. Thank you very much. Next item is the Internal Auditor's Report. Darlene, your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Darlene Brown, and I'm the Internal Auditor. Your notebook contains our proposed fiscal year 25 annual internal audit plan for consideration and approval. The audit plan was prepared based upon a risk assessment and discussion with leadership team. We also discussed our proposed plan with the audit subcommittee. This is a comprehensive, flexible plan that will allow us to modify or add audits as needed to address any compliance or new business risk areas, such as monitoring potential implementation efforts of any Sunset Commission recommendations or any bingo needs. Our proposed audit plan includes reviewing 8 agency operations. Those are advertising, information technology, software development lifecycle, the budget function, the rulemaking process, tax collections and annuity payments, data protection, drawing studio, and enforcement operations. We anticipate the level of effort, 2,000 hours, and the fees to be $295,000. That's the report for today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on the proposed audit plan.
Okay, Darlene, thank you. Any comments from our audit subcommittee?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The audit subcommittee met with Darlene last week, right?
Yes.
And we went thoroughly through the risk assessment and the process by which she chooses areas. And the audit subcommittee is very pleased to have Darlene, do this for us. And we approved the audit plan, the internal audit plan.
Okay. Commissioners, any other discussion? Okay. Is there a motion for approval? Cindy made that. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Darlene, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is our bingo director's report. But before I hand it over to LaDonna, I understand we have a very special guest here that our bingo commissioner is going to introduce.
We do. Dr. Trey Penny has made his way up from Plano to join us here today. He actually was here yesterday at the BAC, both of the BAC meetings, and may not know this, but was elected to join the BAC this morning first thing. So thank you for coming. We're really excited about your level of involvement so far has been excellent. So keep that up.
Yeah. Doctor, thank you for being here, and we appreciate your commitment to the state and to bingo. So thank you for making the time to be physically present. It means a lot. Thank you. Okay, LaDonna.
Good morning again. For the record, LaDonna Castanuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations Division. The notebook materials today include CBOD's output metrics for our licensing, accounting, compliance, and audit activities for the months of June and July through the run date of July 24th. That's all I have for this item, and I am available to answer questions.
Okay, commissioners, any discussion? Cindy, anything else you want to add? I know bingo's been a big percentage of our meeting today. So LaDonna, good job on just overseeing everything. And as always, you give us tremendous confidence. So thank you. Okay. Next item is the executive director's report. Ryan, this is your item. But first, Clark has some comments from the legal subcommittee.
Thanks, Chairman. Yeah, when the chairman and I met with Ryan a couple weeks ago, we did ask for some feedback and comments on the actions that the agency has taken to address the issues of bulk purchases. We know that this has been sort of in the limelight recently in light of the lotto tickets from the April 2023 game. So we wanted to hand it over to you to provide some commentary on that.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioner Smith, and good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Ryan Mendel, and I'm the Executive Director. And as you mentioned, on April 22, 2023, there was an advertised $95 million Lotto Texas jackpot won. I do want to give some history and context about bulk purchasing before discussing the agency's plan going forward. As long as there's been lotteries, there have been people pooling their money to buy tickets. For discussion today, I really want to focus on so-called bulk purchasing groups that act when they believe they have a financial advantage to do so. In February 1992, a Romanian economist reportedly got 2,500 people to combine their funds to buy all 7 million combinations of a Virginia draw game, leading to over $28 million in winnings. From 2003 to 2011, a man named Gerald Selby organized a purchasing group in Michigan and later in Massachusetts to buy large amounts of a game called Cash Windfall. Eventually, he even had to compete on that game against another purchasing group out of MIT. Their activities were memorialized in a 2022 movie called Jerry and Marge Go Large. There are many more stories, but I want to start with this context. For decades, groups have formed to buy tickets when they believe it's advantageous for them to do so. Of course, the unsuccessful ones don't get news stories written about them. In the last few years, this activity has only intensified. Reports of purchasing groups have come out of Indiana, Maryland, and Oklahoma, among other states. This activity has elevated the topic within the lottery industry. There was much formal and informal discussion of bulk purchasing groups at the recent NASPL directors meeting in June that I attended, and at the NASPL Professional Development Seminar in July that we had many staff attend. With modern analytical tools and large amounts of funds at their disposal, every lottery game in the country, and likely the world, will be analyzed in one form or another by these types of groups. That brings us back to the April 2023 Lotto Texas jackpot. That jackpot was the third largest Lotto Texas jackpot in history, the largest since 2010. The last roll of that jackpot generated over $25 million in sales from Wednesday to Saturday. $25 million of those sales were generated at 4 retail locations. As then Executive Director Grief noted in a press release announcing that the jackpot had been won, we do believe that the high jackpot generated interest by bulk purchasing groups that then worked with select retailers to attempt to purchase all 25,827,165 combinations available for that game. This has generated significant media interest as well. It's a good story, just like when the Romanian economist won in Virginia and Jerry and Marge were buying tickets in Massachusetts. I do want to make a few things clear for the record. The bulk purchasing group did not purchase every possible combination. We know what's called coverage. Less than 100% of the numbers in that game were purchased. There was a chance that no one would have won that jackpot at all that day. Every $1 ticket for the $95 million jackpot had the exact same 1 in 25,827,165 chance of winning that jackpot. If multiple tickets had won that jackpot, they would have split the jackpot evenly. And last, despite some confusion on the issue, these tickets were purchased and printed at the brick and mortar retailer location. The jackpot winning ticket was purchased at a retailer that sold over $10 million of tickets in that draw. That retailer was affiliated with a courier, but that courier did not sell Lotto Texas tickets at that time. Those are the facts. I did want to address one other issue. There is section 4663054 of the State Lottery Act. It does make certain group purchase arrangements illegal. Specifically, when a person establishes a group purchase group and retains some of the funds, either the funds meant to buy tickets or some of the prizes after the fact as a fee for establishing the group, that's illegal. We have no reason to believe that that law or any other was violated here. But where does that leave the Texas Lottery? I would start with the fact that the integrity of the game was not compromised. The selection of a winner, our draw processes, the fundamental nature of the draw game, none of these were compromised in any way. These bulk purchasing groups were legal purchasers of those tickets. However, it is also clear that these activities harm the perception of the Lotto Texas game. When players do not feel, rightfully or wrongfully, that they have an equal chance of winning, I believe it is appropriate to understand why and see if any changes can be made to address that perception. Over the past months, I have spent significant time evaluating potential changes to our games and the agency's processes and procedures that might address the players' perceptions. Specifically, I've looked for guardrails that might make this activity more manageable for our operations, provide more information to the agency when these groups operate. I have two changes to brief you on at this time. First, I have implemented a process change on how lottery terminals are deployed to retailers. Among other things, this process will involve a higher level of review, including the General Counsel and myself. This will prevent rapid deployment of terminals to retailers who do not have a record of sustained sales, who may be acting in response to temporary demand. Second, I requested a software change from our lottery systems vendor IGT on how the lottery terminal processes wagers for our in-state jackpot games. Significantly, neither of these changes should impact any regular business processes of our retailers. They won't slow down the queue line when we do have a high jackpot for normal purchasers. But these guardrails should help mitigate the impact to the perception of our games in the future should bulk purchasing groups become active. I will continue to monitor this activity in Texas and across the lottery industry. I'll let you know if I have additional updates in the future, but I want to end with one clear statement. It's my full expectation that this activity will not stop across the country. The guardrails I put in place are no guarantee it will not happen in Texas in the future. Before I move on to my second item, I want to see if you have any questions or comments about that.
Commissioners? None?
Second item concerns our retiring Information Technology Division Director. And in recognition of her service, we do have a proclamation that the chairman and I have signed, and I'd like to read that here today.
Please.
Whereas Joan Kodal is retiring from the Texas Lottery Commission. Whereas in fulfilling the duties and tasks of the Information Technology Division Director of the Texas Lottery Commission, Joan drew from her extensive experience, having served the state of Texas for more than 43 years, beginning with the Department of the Office of the Texas Governor. She is indeed deserving of special professional and personal recognition. And whereas for the last 17 years, Joan has deftly led the information technology efforts of the Texas Lottery Commission, successfully navigating the agency through innumerable technology projects in a rapidly changing environment. Whereas during her tenure with the agency, the Texas Lottery experienced record-breaking sales and revenue transfers to the state of Texas. Whereas raised in a military family with 4 brothers, Joan graduated from Copperas Cove High School and the University of Texas at Austin prior to a career with the state, making Texas her home. Whereas Joan, with her husband David, are proud parents to their son Clint and his wife Allison, their son Garrett and his wife Lindsay, and proud grandparents to Clint and Allison's children Madeline, Hannah, and Jack, and Garrett and Lindsay's children Walker and Wyatt. Whereas retirement will provide Joan with discretionary time to be with her friends and family, pursue her hobbies, and to travel wherever the road leads. Whereas the information technology team and the agency will greatly miss Joan's mentorship, expertise, direction, drive, and friendship. Resolved that the Texas Lottery Commission and her many friends and loving family members hereby congratulate Joan Kodal on her retirement and extend her sincere best wishes now and during her next chapter in her life. Be it further resolved that an official copy of this proclamation be prepared for Ms. Kodal, an expression of high regard by the Texas Lottery Commission. Thank you, Joan, for all you've done. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay. Joan, thank you very much for your over 4 decades of service to the state. On behalf of all of our commissioners, we are incredibly grateful for your years of service and all of the quality that you have provided for a significant amount of time. And we know that your presence will remain as your hard work and effort will be a never-ending timestamp here, particularly with the specific work that you do, and will continue to have a hand in the direction of the lottery, even though you may not physically be here, but your work ethic and dedication will remain. So we are very grateful, Joan. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a slight change of our enforcement cases. Bob is not here today, but Ryan is, and so he will handle Bob's item.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, for the record, Ryan Mandel, Executive Director. Item 14 in your notebook contains 11 cases, 9 lottery and 2 bingo cases. Tabs A through K are cases where a lottery or bingo licensee or bingo worker violated a statute or rule. In most cases, either the respondent failed to appear at the hearing or proceeded by default, and the staff and the respondent reached a settlement in the form of an agreed order. Tabs A through E are non-sufficient fund lottery retailer license revocations handled in a single order. Each case was presented at the State Office of Administrative Hearings for revocation of the retailer license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in their bank account to cover the funds transfer to the commission's account. In each case, again, the licensee failed to appear at the hearing. The judge remanded to the commission to handle the default matter. Tabs F through I are lottery agreed orders. We have 3 debit card cases. One case where a retailer employee loaned money to a customer to buy lottery tickets. Tabs J and K are bingo agreed orders. We have 1 3-year conditional bingo worker registration and a bingo account unit accounting case settling various violations. That concludes the presentation of this item. You can take up the enforcement orders in a single vote if you'd like. I'm happy to answer any questions as I can.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
Second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next item is public comment. No speakers. I would like to first thank Commissioner Fields for her work as our designated bingo commissioner. I know that you've had a lot on your plate here to get us through today. And so thank you for, Cindy, all the hard work that you have done, and to all of our commissioners, our audit committee, our legal committee and planning subcommittee. Thank y'all collectively for all of the hard work that y'all have done. And Commissioner Steen, Jamie, although he's not physically here, he was affected by the Hurricane Debbie in Florida. So he has been desperately trying to get home back to Texas for about 3 days and had a lot of flight issues. And so that's why he is not here. But definitely he put in a lot of hard work as he, out of all of the commissioners, is on 2 subcommittees. So we are grateful for Jamie's hard work. So with that, I believe that concludes all of our business. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, we have a second. Second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.